All right, so we are breaking down really quickly how to create cohesive copy throughout an entire funnel from top of funnel content all the way to bottom of funnel in closing in sales and emails. Was talking about this with some other writers in a room, and they were like, "Can you please make a video about it?" So here we go. When I first meet a new client, I'm trying to assess what they already have that is working, what we need to get rid of, and what we need to create. Now, there are a bunch of people that I work with that come to me and they already have a brand, they already maybe have a podcast or a course or a book, and they're already making long form content. Those guys are gold because you have a lot to work with and you don't have to come up with a bunch of stuff from scratch. So let's say a client comes to you and or comes to me and they're already doing a podcast. Perfect. What I'll do is instead of trying to create something brand new for them and trying to figure out their voice for forever, I will go and grab those podcast transcription, grab the transcription from YouTube. I will plug that into ChatGPT and I will ask ChatGPT to help me create a whole flow based off that one podcast episode. I'll say, "Can you create me an email drip for the week around these topics?" And I'll give it the transcription. "Okay, now can you create carousels for me to go with this topic? Okay, now can you create 3 reel scripts for me to go with this topic?" And that gives the brand a very cohesive message. And people were worried about, well, aren't you repeating yourself a bunch? Yes, but in different types of content. So if you ever went to school or, higher level education, they always talk about how there's different types of learning. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people like to read or be involved. And that's why you can get away with repurposing content over in different types. That's why you can take a YouTube video and turn it into a reel and turn it into a carousel and then write an email about it. Because also, what you're doing is you're creating this revolving ecosystem for whoever you're creating content for, because the person will jump in, wherever their preferred platform is. Let's say they get an email and it tells them, "Well, go check out my YouTube video about this." So they go to YouTube. Well, now, and go follow me on Instagram. So now they're on Instagram. And you see that like nice, consistent revolutions. That's what we're trying to do. Keep them into the ecosystem until we build enough trust and likability to be able to sell them something that they need. Let's say you get a client and they have no foundation, they have no content created, they need a lot of help, but they're an interesting person and they've got great business ideas, so it's going to work. My first thing that I try to figure out is what kind of communicator they are. If they are someone that talks like crazy on the phone, when I first get on the phone with them, okay, they're a talker. So what we're going to do is either set them up with, a long format YouTube video, or I'm going to set up interviews with them on a weekly basis. And I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions because they're a talker. And I'm going to take that transcription and turn it into content. I've had clients who don't have time to meet with me on a weekly basis and do interviews. Not a problem. They actually will journal in the morning, and part of their journaling process is putting down a bunch of thoughts or topics or ideas into a note on their iPhone and then sharing that note with me. I've also had clients who will send me voice notes at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the morning. I do the exact same process. I'm transcribing those and then I'm turning it into content. This is really powerful for a couple reasons. One, it cuts way down on the time that I have to take to research and study and learn their tones, learn their keywords, make sure I'm picking the right subjects for them that they align with. They're giving me the content. I'm just organizing it. So it cuts down a lot of time there. It also really helps the client start to develop new trains of thought. One big problem is when sometimes you've come into a client who has done a lot of public speaking or created a lot of content. They have very, very hardcore things that they use, topics that they're constantly talking about, that they're constantly, it's like the same podcast over and over and over again. which is fine for a certain period of time. But you do want to be creating new things with them. You don't want to just keep regurgitating the old things. And as a entrepreneur myself, developing my own brand, I too want to have all my podcasts sound different because I'm teaching new things, because I'm learning new things, right? I don't want to become stagnant. So, as a content creator, as a writer, one of your jobs isn't just to write for them or to organize words or organize content for them, but to almost be a muse, to ask really great questions, inspire new trains of thought, bring new challenges up, help them solve new problems. You're a very integral piece to their processing and thinking method in developing new content. And if you can learn how to ask great questions and be kind of like that muse or that leverage point for new ideas and thoughts, you're going to become invaluable to them. You're going to become a really huge integral piece of their process. So that makes you more than just a writer. It makes you a huge part of their process, which ensures more and more work. It also helps you get inside their mind better because then you start learning how they think. So then you can help them more and more and more and more. Um, so, yeah, that's a really basic breakdown of how I engage with clients. And I do have pretty set perimeters. Like, usually the process is we do a weekly interview, I get the content for them, and I turn it into something. But like I said, not everybody has that time, and that is totally fine as long as they can commit to some other regular type of clear communication. So, as a freelancer, I will be okay if they don't want to do that weekly interview. Again, as long as they can commit to communicating with me on a weekly basis. I do have one client, he rarely talks to me. He talks to me maybe like twice a month. But the content I create for him is so in line and is doing so well, he doesn't have a reason to talk to me. I already get him. I know what he's talking about. I know what he's teaching about. I can embody his voice rather easily. And then I've got other clients who text me daily, call me daily, and because they're constantly moving and I'm still shaping their pillars and kind of teaching them how what boundaries to have and what lanes they're creating to stay in and to dominate in. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else that the people were asking me. So I'll create a graphic for you guys as well, or I'll create a PDF in the notes below, and it will kind of show how things work, what are top of funnel pieces, what are middle, what are bottom of funnel, and how to take a big piece of content and break it down, and even to reverse engineer that. So if they have like a lot of reels, I've gone the opposite way as well. There's a guy who owns a rather big company. If I said his name, you would know who he is, but he had a bunch of reels and he's like, can you turn these into blogs? So I kind of did that the opposite way, to where I took a bunch of reels within the same area, and those were three reels were like three different points in one blog that I was posting on a weekly basis. So you can reverse engineer this as well. Comment below if you have any questions. I'm always here to help, or hit me up on Instagram. That's where I live. So if you DM me there, I'll probably be much quicker. But anyways, that's the training for today. Kind of a little bit more loosey-goosey than normal, but still just wanted to share it all with you. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.